Hello and welcome to Bhattacharya Official. In this video we are going to learn what is population, what is sample and different sampling techniques with some practical examples. So please make sure you have subscribed this channel to get regular updates. Now let's see what is population. In statistics, population is the entire set of items from which we draw data for some statistical analysis. And what is sample? Sample is nothing but the subset of the population. Now let's take an example. Suppose I am going to perform some experiment or some statistical analysis on a school, and I am going to check how the students are performing on that school. Okay. So for this analysis or this experiment I need data, right? So if I just collect all the students data, means I collect all the students names, students roll number, students marks, okay, all those data will be my population. And from those population, if I just take a small subset, like as if I just collect the data of the 10 standard students, so this small subset will be my sample. Okay, and what is sampling? Sampling is a process to draw data from the population. So using those different sampling techniques, we basically find out sample from a population. Okay. In statistics, we have majorly two types of sampling technique. One is probability sampling technique, another is non-probability sampling technique. Let's start with the probability sampling technique. So in probability sampling technique, we choose sample based on the theory of probability. Okay. This probability sampling technique allows every element of this population a chance to get selected. Inside probability sampling techniques, we are going to learn majorly four types of sampling techniques. First one is simple random sampling, stratified sampling, systematic sampling and cluster sampling. Now we are going to learn simple random sampling. Simple random sampling says every element of that particular population has equal probability to getting selected. Now make it bit simple. Okay. Suppose in our previous example, on that particular school, we had total 1000 students and we collected all the record of 1000 students. Okay. Now from that 1000 records, if I just randomly choose 100 or 200 records, so this type of sampling technique, we call it simple random sampling. Okay. So next thing is stratified sampling. In stratified sampling, first what we make, we create homogeneous group or stratum. Okay. So from those homogeneous group, we basically again randomly choose sample from multiple homogeneous group. Now we have systematic sampling. In systematic sampling, first we arrange all those elements in a row and then we take the nth element. Here the n is variable, so n can be 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. Next thing is cluster sampling. In cluster sampling, first we create multiple cluster. A cluster is nothing but a group of items whose characteristic is very similar. Okay, and then in next step we randomly choose multiple cluster. Now we are going to learn about non-probability sampling techniques. Non-probability sampling technique says not every elements of the population have equal chance of getting selected. Okay, so few of the non-probability sampling techniques are convenience sampling, judgment sampling, quota sampling and snowball sampling. Let's start with the convenience sampling. In convenience sampling, we choose those items which are easily accessible. Okay, in our use cases, suppose in a particular day I came to school and on that day out of 1000 students there was only 600 student was there. So this type of sampling is called convenience sampling. Next is judgment sampling. In judgment sampling we choose sample based on our experience. Okay. Suppose in our use cases I want to do experiment for the students who are very good in mathematics. Okay. So for that use cases, what I will do, I will directly come to the mathematics teacher and I will find out those students who are very good in mathematics, right? So I take some judgment from some experienced person. So this type of sampling technique is called judgment sampling. Now we have quota sampling. In quota sampling, first step what we will do, we will create multiple homogeneous group, and in next step we will take elements from every group, but we will maintain some ratio. In our use cases, I already had 1000 students data point, right? So if I just split those 1000 data points in two groups, one for male, another for female, and then I have decided that in my experiment I will use 60% of male students data and I will use 40% of female students data. So this will be my quota sampling. Now we are going to learn a very interesting sampling technique. It's called snowball sampling. So as the name suggests, in a snowball we have a chunk of snow, right? On the same way, this snowball sampling also work. And snowball sampling we does not use for every use cases. Basically, for some particular or special use cases, we use snowball sampling technique. Okay. Suppose I am going to do some experiment on some particular area, that how many people are weed addicted. So how I can identify? So people will not directly come and say that I am weed addicted, right? So in that case, first we have to find out one person who is weed addicted, and from those person I can convince him, or he can tell me that other 2 or 3 person who is his friend circle and they are also weed addicted, right? Then I can come to those person and again I can ask the same question. So can you suggest me some other names or some other people who are also weed addicted? So this way basically it creates some chain, right? And the chain help us to gather more and more data. I hope you have learned so many sampling techniques and you also like this video. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe this channel and feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section.